Module number 5. Ambiguous and vague terms. You have learned in the previous modules that a term can have a rich variety of uses in different language games. With the possible exception of scientific terms, almost every word in a natural language has more than one use. You have also learned that to determine the meaning of a term, you have to identify the language game in which the term is used. What is an ambiguous term? Terms can have multiple uses in different contexts, often called language games. The meaning of a term is determined by identifying its language game, which defines its intension or attributes and extension, things it refers to. Ambiguity increases as a term acquires more uses. Extreme ambiguity makes it hard to identify the correct language game. The term good, for example, in moral philosophy, is highly ambiguous, with different meanings for hedonists, humanists, utilitarians, logical positivists, and Kantians. In ordinary contexts, good can describe anything, making it too ambiguous. Moving on, how does vagueness occur? Vagueness occurs when the intention of a concept is unclear, making it difficult to determine what to include or exclude from its extension. Terms like some, few, many, and almost all are examples of vague terms. The vagueness of terms can lead to confusion when the number or extent of items being referred to is unclear. Vague terms are often so unclear that it's hard to give typical examples. For example, obscenity or pornography. Vagueness, like ambiguity, is a matter of degree. Fallacy of equivocation. The fallacy of equivocation happens when a term is used with different meanings in the same argument, leading to confusion. You may use a term in one way and later use it again in another in the same line of reasoning. For instance, you may use the term theory to refer to a scientific theory, and in the same breath use the same term to refer to a moral theory, without warning and qualification. Philosophers have a term for this confusion. They call it fallacy of equivocation. An example worth considering is Carnap's famous quotation from Heidegger. Let's watch this video.
Uy, be, ano yung nothing?
Wala.
Ano nga yung nothing eh? Nagtatanong yung tao.
Wala nga.
Uy, alam mo, te, nakita ko kayo ni sabay umuwi.
Ano naman, te? Ano naman?
Kayo ah.
Wala, issue to. Grabe.
Sabay pa kayo kumain eh.
Lahat na lang may meaning. Ano ka, dictionary?
Alright, so for Module 6, we have on definitions. We have 6 types of definitions. Number 1, we have definition by synonym. This is where we define a term by using a synonym or an equivalent term. Dito natin ginagawa yung pag-define ng isang unfamiliar term by using a familiar term. Pero tandaan lang natin na when we are looking for a synonym, it's just a preparation for composing a good definition. So example, kung tinanong sa'yo, what is an alien? And then you answer with foreigner, that means that you are referring to all foreigners as alien. Kaya we have to be careful with choosing our synonyms because it becomes an incomplete idea for the person who's asking for the definition of a certain term, in which case is alien. Second, we have ostensive definition. This is where we provide examples of the members of the extension, either verbally or by a pointing gesture to define a term. So, for example, tinanong sa'yo, amphibians, what are amphibians? And then, kunwari nasa zoo kayo, tinuro mo lang yung mga frogs and turtles. Of course, these animals fall under amphibians, pero to the perspective of the person that's asking, their knowledge of amphibians may be limited to only frogs and turtles. So just to elaborate on that, we have intension and extension. So ano nga ba ang intention? Intention is the characteristics of a certain term or a certain category. So kung gusto nating i-define or to have a complete understanding of the meaning of a concept, we need to add the extension as well. So yung mga extension naman, ito yung mga terms or mga tao, bagay na nagpo-fall under doon sa characteristics na na-mention for the intention. Next, we have reportive definition. Reportive definition naman, we provide information about how a term is being used in the same way in numerous language games. Dito naman makikita natin yung standard use or conventional use ng mga terms. For example, yung mga nakikita natin sa dictionary. We can say na gumagamit lang sila ng mga intention rather than also adding the extension. Wala naman tayong makikitang examples sa ating mga dictionary. Next, we have stipulative definition. So for this, we use technical terms rather than the conventional use of a term. Hindi natin to kinukuha sa mga dictionary, rather, paano natin ginagamit ito sa ating academic works. So, tandaan lang natin na ang scientific terms have the tendency to gain wide currency in ordinary language, acquiring ordinary use in the process, which is why makikita natin yung mga words like DNA, introvert, makikita natin yan parang ginagamit na kahit saan. Tsaka note natin na some concepts categorized as dispositional, like magnetic and electric charge, cannot be directly observed through their intention and extension. Ibig sabihin, kailangan natin gamitin ang susunod na method, which is operational definition. Si Percy W. Bridgman ang nag-invent ng technique na to, while advocating that all scientific concepts should be defined in terms of performable operations. So dito naman gumagamit tayo ng mga theoretical terms as well as dispositional terms on the plane of observation. May nabigay siyang dalawang types of operations, namely, instrumental operations. Dito naman gumagamit tayo ng mga devices for observation and measurement like microscope or telescope. And susunod naman, we have paper and pencil operations. Dito naman gumagamit sila ng verbal operations and thought experiments. So, for operational definition, makikita natin na they use processes, they describe the term through processes in order to elaborate further kung paano nga ba maintindihan ng tao ang paggamit nila sa term na yon.
So moving on to Module 7, we are going to discuss the analytic observation. The analytic observation focuses on the statement of the intention without vagueness and the offering of typical examples of the extension. So if you're going to remember the past lesson from the past modules, the intention provides meaning while the extension provides examples. The author Acuñas proposes to make use of three categories in the use of analytic observation. Those three categories are the definiendo, definiens, and the denotata, as opposed to the traditional way of defining terms, which only has two components, and those components being a definiendum and the definiens. So we can see right off the bat that the denotata is missing from the traditional version of logical definition. We are going to discuss it more in depth in the next slide. So So the definiens is the term to be defined, while the definiens provides the intension or the defining property of the definiendo. For example, the word mammal. The word mammal will be your definiendo, while your definiens will be the sentence animals with mammary glands. Definiens also has two main parts which is the genus and differentia. The genus is the wider concept of which the definiendum is a member, while the differentia states the traits or set of traits, characteristics, or function that distinguishes the definiendum apart from the other species in the genus. So actually the denotata is quite simple to define. So as you can see, the denotata only provides provides example or extension of the definiendo. So next slide, the example is shown. So the word mammal will be your definiendo, while your definiens will be animals with mammary glands. As stated earlier, the genus is the wider concept in which the definiendum is a member. So the genus will be the word animal, because the definiendum, which is the word mammal, is a part of this wider concept, which is the word animal. So your differentia will be the sentence with mammary glands, because it distinguishes mammals from other animals. So yeah, the notata is quite simple. It only provides examples, and those examples are marsupials, placentals, and things like that.
Okay. Ano gagawin? Paso. As in like burn. Akala ko kasi paso as in vase. Sorry na.
Rules in composing a definition. Number 1. State relevant traits. Define a term by stating a trait or set of traits that members must possess. Ensure the definition is neither too broad nor too narrow. Number 2. Avoid circularity. Do not define a term by using the term itself or a synonym. Circular definitions offer no real explanation.
So the third rule would be affirmative definition. Affirmative definition, you have to prefer affirmative statements over negative ones. Uh, to simply define this rule, you have to define a term for what it is and not what it is not. Gets mo yan? Okay, I'm going to provide an example so magigets nyo. The term being defined here is the word mind. Mind as an entity that is neither tangible nor visible. It has no weight, mass, location. Kita nyo? Yung definition niya, it's negative. Kasi, dinidefine niya lang yung mind for what it is not. Kasi, for example, it has no weight, mass, or location. Does that mean basta walang weight lang yung object, mind na agad? Hindi, di ba? So, in order to define a term, you have to define it affirmatively. Another example would be, for example, the word bald. Kung negative yung statement mo dyan, you would say the word bald is a person who cannot use shampoo. For example, hindi ka gumamit shampoo, bald ka na. Hindi. If affirmative yung statement nung word na bald, you would say the word bald is a person who has no hair. Yun lang. So the fourth rule would be avoid figurative language. Use clear, precise language. So yun nga, with the definitions, you have to be specific. Kasi for example, you are defining the term beauty, the word beauty. Tapos sinabi mo, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Magigets mo nun? Hindi, di ba? So, you would say, beauty is a person who has aesthetically pleasing features. So, yun nga, you do not use do not use figurative, obscure, and metaphorical language. So, wag mong gamitin yung flowery words to describe a term. You have to be specific. The fifth is avoid synonyms and ostensive definitions. So, yung rule na to parang same lang siya sa rule 2 kasi circularity. Avoid synonyms and ostensive definitions. Do not rely on synonyms or pointing to examples. These methods are incomplete and often misleading. So, yun nga, sabi ko, parang same lang yung rule 2 and rule 5 kasi they say that you should not use a synonym. And tama naman sila kasi sinabi ko ang example kanina, ay yung example naman. What if I want to define the term belief? Tapos sabi ko, belief is having faith. Eh yung word na faith synonym lang naman sa belief. So, what if yun nga same situation lang kanina, yung kausap ko hindi rin alam yung word na faith. Hindi niya rin malalaman nun yung definition ng belief. So yeah, I think that will be it for our discussion. Thank you.